everyone. This is Margaret Hirsch, on the move with Margaret. And today I'm where I live in Pompano Beach in Florida, which to me is one of the best places in the world to be. And I'm here with Patti, who is a colleague of mine. But she's got a lovely story to tell, and I'm really hoping she's going to inspire all you ladies out there to know that you can do anything. It doesn't matter where you come from, it's where you decide you're going to that makes a difference. So Patti, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being on the show with me today.
I am thrilled to be here.
So, Patti, just tell us a little bit about the Patti growing up. Where did you come from? Where did you grow up? And what do you remember about your childhood? And how did that shape you to be the person you are today?
Well, I was born to a Uruguayan mom and an Italian dad.
Yeah.
Who met at a dance in Argentina.
Yeah.
And decided to have a couple of kids. I'm number 2. And so I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm a porteña.
Uh-huh.
So I am from a little place called Ramos Mejia, and I was born in a tiny little clinic that no longer exists. And from what my parents tell me, literally grew up in a little house with dirt floors.
Yeah.
And my dad was an auto mechanic and one of many children from Italy that also came over after the war.
Yeah.
And here I am in Pompano Beach. I'm just as surprised as a lot of people may be that I went from there with these parents to New York.
Yeah.
And it was my dad's dream to go to New York, and he did, and he brought us there. And I had quite a life and quite an opportunity compared to the rest of my family.
Yeah.
That is in Argentina. Not to say it's a tough place to live, but the economies and everything in South America are so different.
Yeah.
And I grew up with my parents, teaching me that coming to a different country like we did, you learn English without an accent because we speak Spanish at home. Entonces, si hablan español, también puedo hablar español. My dad being from Italy, parlo l'italiano. But I grew up really conscious of the fact that my parents worked so very hard to come here. And so I wanted to live up to that for them.
So tell us about New York and what it was like growing up in New York. I mean, who even knows anybody who grew up in New York?
I grew up in New York counting taxi cabs out my window so that I can fall asleep doing that.
Wow.
I grew up in New York having the Museum of Natural History 2-3 streets away from me. So every day after school, I'd make my mom take me to go see the blue whale, which was still just an exhibit. Now it's the top of a cafe.
Yeah.
But I grew up with so much around me. I grew up down the street, literally, where John Lennon was shot.
Oh, really?
So it's such an interesting place to be as a child when everything is there. Everything's at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything else. So here I had international parents.
Yes.
I was born in a different country.
Speaking a different language.
Speaking a different language.
Come to learn English.
Come to learn English. My mom said I went to kindergarten, and within a month, she couldn't understand what I was saying to her.
Oh, go on, hey. It's
so you know what she did?
What?
And this is one of the examples of why I think I'm who I am. She says, I'm going to go to school for English as a second language.
Yeah.
And I would sit at her feet at the classroom as she learned English, and I was learning to read and write English with her.
Oh, wow.
Because she said, that's not going to stop me.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's incredible. Hey.
Yeah, example number 1, right? Just be the example and just know that you need to know.
Yeah. Now, tell us about when you discovered that you were able to sing.
What an important question that is for me. I remember sitting on a sidewalk in Queens, New York. So I grew up in Manhattan, and then my mom was about to have my younger brother, 7 years younger than me. And we bought a house in Queens. And I remember sitting on the stoop of my home with all the neighbors' girls around me, hanging out on the stoop, which is what we did.
Yeah.
And I would sing to them.
Oh, really?
And they'd say, Olivia Newton-John was really big at the time. I'd sing Have You Never Been Mellow? Yeah. And then the rock stuff came around in 79, around the 70s. Blondie.
Yeah.
Call me. Call me. Right? All those songs. I didn't think it was weird. I thought everybody could just sing.
Yeah.
And when I listened to the radio, even as a young age, I always sang harmony to the radio.
Oh, wow.
Always.
Yeah.
I thought everybody could do that.
Yeah. gosh.
Can't you do that?
I cannot do it. I have zero voice for singing. I love singing. I would love to be able to sing, but our voice is absolutely, I have such a deep voice that often I phone up and people say, please hold on, sir. So, no, it's hectic. But well, that's incredible.
That's
So you started singing then.
Singing
You finished school, and then you thought you had to have a career. So what did you do?
Well, I'd get in trouble as a kid. I started having singing lessons because one of my neighbors caught me shooting paper clips at a neighbor's window, as children get in trouble do when they have too much time. And the neighbor called me over and she said, Patti Tateo, that was my maiden name, come on over here, I'm going to talk to you. I said, oh, I'm in trouble, Mrs. Marchese. I am in trouble. And she said, so nicely, she said, Patti, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I'm going to be a rock singer. Yeah. And she said, okay, how are you going to be a rock singer? You have to practice. Do you want to learn how to sing? Yeah. I said, yeah. And she taught organ. Yeah. And I didn't know this was part of the board at Lincoln Center in New York. I didn't know this. She was just a neighbor. Yeah. She said, you're going to come here every Saturday, ask your mom for a job, have her pay you, and bring me $2 a week from that, and I'm going to give you singing lessons.
Oh, wow. Hey.
Yeah. So I was a tomboy playing sports with all the boys, and then I would do all my chores, get my money, and make sure I had my singing lesson with Mrs. Marchese. Huh. From there, it really became a huge passion. Yeah. It just became, okay, I have to do this somehow. Yeah. I was in college at NYU. I was a music and business major. I wanted to be a music major. Yeah. My dad said, you have to pick something else too because you have something to fall on. Yeah. So I said, okay, I'll pick business. So I have a double degree. Yeah. I was in the MBT program at New York University. Yeah. And great advice, listen to your parents because, the business side of everything is so important to know anyway, absolutely. Even in music. Yeah. Especially now in music.
Especially.
So I studied at NYU with some really talented people that went on to do some incredible things, session playing or writing material on Broadway. But I was lucky enough to get into the rock band scene, which is where I got to play places like the Bottom Line, and at the time the Cat Club, and all these really cool places in New York. CBGB's, I got to play in there with a band as a backup singer.
Oh, wow.
I was working with a band called Carboy. I really wanted this as a career. Yeah. This was my thing.
Huh. And then, of course, you met Jose. So what was the transition between you were at college and then what happened between that and actually meeting Jose?
Big transitions.
Yeah.
As life usually does. Yeah. I graduated NYU, made my family very proud. Yeah. Happy to say I'm the only college graduate in my family. Yeah. Which, for two parents that came over with nothing, to be able to say that, I think I realize that more now as I've gotten older, and now my parents have passed, and so now when I look back on that, I'm so proud that I was able to give them that. They worked so hard for it, and they deserved so much more, But anyway, so I after school did quite a few things. I waitressed in New York. I have a family that had a very nice restaurant in New York City in the Upper West Side. And I was always inspired, just always inspired by being in New York. The Upper West Side at the time was so hot in the 80s, and I served Sean Penn, and I served Robert De Niro, and I served all kinds of people that would come into my uncle's restaurant. At the same time I was studying, at the same time I was in a band. Yeah. At the same time, I was teaching aerobics at Living Well Lady Studios. At the same time, I was assistant manager opening up a Living Well Lady down on Fulton and Wall Street. And I just love the challenge of things. Yeah. I thought, this is so cool. When people ask me.
And you know what? You feed off other people's energy and you get that energy. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. And you ladies sitting at home by yourselves all day, you absolutely have to get out and get that energy from other people, because it's for that energy that fuels your energy, which gets you going.
It's so true. I would watch my uncle and aunt run the restaurant. I would watch my parents do their jobs. I would take advantage of an opportunity, and it's very hard for me to say no to things. So you want to go teach aerobics in the gym? Sure. I had never taught what's called aerobics at the time. They made me do a class with the regional manager, and she said, the last 25 of you that last this class will get the job. And she kept going until people literally dropped out physically.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
So I learned to get into fitness, and nutrition came with that. And then I was singing in the bands, and I was working to make money to pay off my student loans because you need a little help along the way. But I worked from the moment I got up every day, probably till I went to bed, exhausted and happy and thrilled and imaginative and curious. I'm like, if I'm going to say one thing to anybody, it's just not just doing things, but doing them 100% curious, you know? I sold shoes on the Upper East Side of Manhattan in the coolest shoe shop for things I could never afford, and met the most interesting people and watched how they carried themselves or where they came from, or would try to find out what it is that we share, because I think that's more important with everybody.
Yes.
All of that goes right onto the stage and translates into I get to have an opportunity after singing in New York and doing session work. A very dear friend of mine owned a studio, and he says, "Hey, do you want to go to Mexico?"
Oh.
And I said, "Yeah, I'd love
good.
to go to Mexico." I could never afford to go traveling after college like my friends could, because I was paying back my student loans. Here's an opportunity to travel free. Sure, what do I have to do? Nothing. My friends are going as musicians.
Yeah.
And my musician friend there is head of the hotel called Club Med. I'd never even heard of Club Med. I just came back from there. You're going to love it. Maybe he'll let you sing.
Oh, wow.
Let's go.
Okay.
All expenses paid.
You see, you have to take every opportunity that comes your way. If you don't grab the opportunities when they come, they float past, and your life would never have been the same if you hadn't gone.
My life would never have been the same. I, at the time, was working in the music industry. I was helping to market music. I was working in heavy metal and hard rock, and I was the managing director of a company that did huge events in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne would perform.
Oh, wow.
Judas Priest was there. Faith No More. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Pearl Jam.
Wow.
They all came through our office when nobody knew who Pearl Jam was. Alice in Chains. Megadeth. All these bands. And, you know, if you get to know my musical taste, you know that I worked in that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my music of the thing I was made to do.
It must have been amazing working with all those famous people. You must have felt famous yourself.
It really taught me about the music business, you know, how they say.
And how to accept fame, because a lot of people can't accept fame. They get so big-headed. And other people have that imposter syndrome coming through. Am I good enough?
With everything. Yeah, with everything. I've met a few musicians that I had conversations with about that kind of thing. And I also really got to peek behind the curtain for the first time at how success is made.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of people, and not everybody does it on the first try.
Oh, wow.
The best example I can tell you is being the assistant in this company and having the pleasure of working with a band like Extreme that has a worldwide hit called More Than Words. But let me tell you, that was the fourth, if I believe right, single off the album. The record label was finally saying, this is the fourth time we're trying to release a single and get this to work. It's not a rock song, it's a ballad. Will it work? Will it work? It became a really top hit worldwide song. And it was the first time I saw that from zero to hero, really.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, okay, this business is very different. And do I want to stay in it behind the scenes? Do I want to have a shot as I'm getting older to maybe try it myself?
Yeah.
But I'm getting insight now into running different businesses, working at a restaurant, now seeing what fame can be like. And I thought, you know, maybe it's going to be my turn. And I started doing demos for Famous Music Publishing, which is a big music publishing company in New York City. A friend of mine worked there and got me some songwriting connections. And I got to demo for some beautiful quality music. And so I learned about that. How, again, it's not the first time around. It's writers presenting a song. The song has to be presented in a certain way. That has to get to the right artist who has to record it. And then maybe it'll be a hit.
Yeah.
So I was starting to see, wow, there's so much
There's
more.
a pattern, there's a strategy. It doesn't just happen by accident.
Right. You have to kind of know where you want to go. And then plan kind of backwards how to get there.
Yeah.
And so now I know how to do that in the restaurant business and now maybe in the music business. And it was time for me to maybe leave New York. And I did.
Wow.
I got a chance to just get away from everything. I think I was a little disillusioned that I had trained to be a musician, that I was ready to do everything I was going to do.
Yeah.
And I was watching other people get the money and the record
fame
deal
and everything,
and
you
the
were
publicity and the radio airplay and all the work behind them. I thought, got to give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
You got to give it a shot before you say no regrets.
Yes.
And wow, this opportunity comes up. Do you want to go to Club Med?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But you didn't have the job, so you just had to take the opportunity and run with it.
I had to run with it. I showed up at a Club Med with my girlfriend Nikki on the airplane. We're giggling. It's the middle of winter in New York City. It's snowy. I had always dreamt, growing up in New York City in the middle of winter,
Going to this wonderful place.
wonderful place. Yes. And here I was. I got off the plane. It was so hot. Huatulco, Mexico.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful bay where the president of Mexico had his Camp David, where he had his vacation retreat.
Yeah.
So it was a very beautiful bay.
And you think, wow, this is heaven.
And the drinks are free.
Oh my goodness.
Nothing like it. Nothing like it. So, at this point, I'm 28 years old, and I have a boyfriend at home, my childhood sweetheart. One of my not deep regret in life, but rather regret of how I handled that.
Yeah.
And I think we all have those too, is to pause and say, I wish this part had gone a little differently.
Yeah.
I would go back and say, I wish you luck and I'm sorry, but I have to do this. I kind of did it with that explanation because I walked into this place in Mexico. My girlfriend and I are having a ball. We feel so free. These guys that brought us down that were musicians with no strings attached let us experience a wonderful week where I meet this guy named Jose.
Oh, wow.
And he gives me a stomach ache. And I look at my girlfriend and she says, what's the matter? And I said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I have this feeling like I'm going to get sick, like this isn't right. This guy is making me so nervous.
Oh, really?
I couldn't look at his face.
Yeah.
I was looking at myself. I don't know how else to describe it.
Oh, really?
And I said, what do I do about what I have back home? She said, if this is at all happening to you, maybe, just maybe, there's something still missing that you're looking for that's there, that you're recognizing, and you have to go for that.
Oh, wow.
I had to go back, and I don't like looking back on breaking someone's heart, but I think everybody does.
Yeah.
But I met somebody who literally helped me then exponentially become the next level of whatever I was about to be.
Wow.
And that, when you recognize that, again, when that opportunity is there, that feeling, the gut always tells you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
The gut tells you. Would you say that was love at first sight, or just you just like a fan, or how did you feel?
Absolute crush at first sight.
Okay.
And couldn't get away from the feeling that I had to spend every moment with this human who, if you meet, in my opinion, it is truly an electrically positive, vibrating, genuine soul.
Yeah.
He is a great human. He's a great partner. He's my husband, I know. But anyone who's ever met him has always said there's something peaceful and easy about being around this guy who lets you be seen.
Okay.
And I think everybody wants to be seen.
Yeah.
And I think that truly was the first time I was seen on even a deeper level than I had ever experienced before.
Wow.
I think that's important.
Yeah, that is important.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And I'm a great believer in love at first sight. When I first saw Alan, I knew he was the one. And 54 years later, he's still here. It's a surprise to him, big surprise to me. But he is, and I just think it's incredible. So you started, and then you started singing together. Now, who was the boss? I mean, he was playing the music, and you were the singer. How did you work out who was the boss?
Well, I will tell you this. He was the MC of many shows and spoke 3 languages. Being from Montreal, he spoke French. Yeah. Being in Mexico and having him also born in South America and Ecuador, he spoke Spanish. And so he was the ringleader and the master of ceremonies for everything we did. Yeah. Everything we did. Like he He was not only, assistant general manager of the resort, he ran the shows, he was entertainment director, he had been sports director, lively personality, takes charge of a room, is very magnetic, and I would get on stage and just...
Oh, really?
I would play my part because I had always been behind a microphone.
Yeah.
In a studio.
Yeah.
Working with writers, and I liked that. Yeah. I liked being a studio person. I thought that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now, get on stage, wear a cute outfit, be Patti. And it took me a very, very long time to realize that was in there. I was very shy.
Yeah.
And very self-critical.
Oh,
so
really?
How many times do we stop ourselves, right, ladies? You just give yourself not enough credit.
Yeah. And you criticize yourself, and so many other people like to criticize you. You should not criticize yourself at all.
I read this great interview. I don't know if it was Madonna. I think it was Madonna that said in an interview, she will read a whole article, and the one thing she remembers about the interview is the one negative line in the interview.
Yeah.
No matter how high she got. Yeah. And of course, not comparing myself at all to someone of that stature. But that happens to me,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's our nature. It's the fight or flight syndrome that lives in our little head.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins explains it as that, right? Like we're born to run from the saber-toothed tiger, so you have to find all the bad.
Yeah.
But there's no more saber-toothed tigers, ladies, right? So we don't have to worry about that stuff. Yeah. I started blooming. I started loving the attention. Yeah. And what really sealed it for me was, I don't know why, and I don't know how the magic came, but Jose and I sang our first song ever together on a beach. And it was the blend of our voices. Yeah. Where we both said, wow, there's something that people work at to get this. Yeah. I've been in studios where I've worked with singers to try...
And it just works.
The vibrations of both of our voices together are so fun to mix. Yeah. And now you're in love with somebody who's really kind to you, and now you get to perform. Yeah. And then you start traveling the world to do it. Yeah. Okay, I'm in.
Oh, wow. Now, so, and how did you get onto the boats? Because you were on the boats for so many years.
So we were playing, I think it was about a year and a half. Jose left the management side of Club Med, and he said, hey, listen, I have this partner that I'm going to be doing shows with. Would management be okay with me and her going to all the Club Meds and trying out and putting together a show? They said, go for it.
Oh, really?
So for like 8 months, we got on planes and were fed and housed and given stages and started putting together, a two-man show of music we liked to people on vacation in the most exotic resorts. Wow. So the Bahamas and Turquoise and Martinique and Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, all over Mexico. And, you're late 20s, early 30s, life's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a wonderful time.
It's a great time. Yeah. You're tan, you're young, you're happy. Yeah. You're surrounded by happy people.
And you're performing, which is just making your own career. You love the job that you're doing, and you're getting paid for it as well.
I have to say, it was never a job. For years and years and years and years, I really learned it was never a job. Yeah. And everything else just came. You save the money, whatever. The hardest part of that, and this is where the sacrifice comes in for anything that's amazing, is how much we missed our family all the time.
Oh, really?
We traveled for 28 years, and I have to say, it was outstanding. Yeah. But I missed weddings and deaths and being by the side of people I wished I could be there with or for. That was tough. Family tragedies, big, amazing events. That to me is also the other half. There has to be a darkness, I think, for there to be a light. Yeah. So every time in life I've started learning there is a yin and a yang, and it's okay, but that's life.
Yeah, that's life. You're going to have the ups and downs no matter what.
So choose the light that makes you the happiest, because there's always going to be
a downside.
The hardship, the downside, right? And that was tough. That was tough. There were moments when, I would really be upset, and we'd be on the road 15 years in traveling. And my husband, for some reason, guys could just keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
they
is awesome, babe. And I miss my mom, or I miss my best friend, or I just want a tuna fish sandwich at 2 a.m. at home. You know,
with all your traveling and that, you had to make a decision: are you going to have children or not? And you like Dolly Parton. She said, "I had my career, and do I have children or don't?" Did you make? Was it a conscious decision, or was it just something that you came up with, or did you decide that's what we're going to do, or did you discuss it, or did it just happen?
so important. Again, this is another of those big things for women, right?
Yeah.
I was never a girl that played with dolls.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a runner on the baseball team, play football with the guys. I was a tomboy, play catch with my dad. I didn't think that was weird. I just never thought about it. As I got older, I never thought about it. I met my husband and I thought, if ever, this would be the guy. I don't know why, right? Like you meet somebody, he's from a beautiful and loving family, most of which are up in Montreal, Canada, the Northeast. They're amazing. He's one of 7. And
oh, wow.
I'm only one of, 3 kids, but we're all 7 years apart. I always felt kind of like alone, not a lonely, an only child.
Yeah.
And do I really want to do this? Do I really want to stop traveling? It's such a beautiful thing. I have this great example of what family can be.
Yeah.
But it also means stopping the best thing that keeps happening to me.
Yeah, and for a long period of time, because you've got those kids for 20 years, so you've got to know it's not a 5-minute job. It's something that's going to take time.
Exactly right. And we had the conversation, and we would check in. I'd say every 5 years we would have a very realistic conversation, because we knew what it would take.
Yeah.
We'd have to go somewhere to raise them, probably here or there. No, we're okay. Let's try another 5 years. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And as a woman,
your biological clock was ticking.
At one point it was. I thought, okay, is this the moment? Is this the moment? And then, without saying too much, oops, maybe. And then, when the oops turned out to be no, I remember he and I both kind of looked at each other and said, is it okay to tell you I feel relief?
Oh, yeah.
And I said, oh my gosh. And this is a real personal thing as a woman. We all feel,
Yeah.
I wanted to do what was right by society, but I kind of went in my heart like, I don't know why. Don't ask. I love kids. If you see me with children, I am a child. I get on the floor with them. I love them. I bathe them in as much attention as I can because I think they're giggly and they're cute. And I try to get into their head and be with them and think with them. And a lot of my nieces and nephews were a big part of our vacations in Montreal.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait to just hang out with these kids and bring the row of nieces and nephews to the movie theater, literally a row of them, and spoil them and then get out of town again. So I feel like, thank goodness for my brothers, sisters, and in-laws. They gave us moments where I can't say I was ever a parent, but I would wake up in Montreal sometimes and my husband's brother would send over 2 of the boys to wake us up and jump in bed with us. And I was like,
really?
this is what it's like. It's a Sunday morning and they're sneaking into bed with you. And I thought, he gave us such a nice gift.
Yeah.
That happened to us a few times. I thought, oh, this is what parents must love about it. Like the messiness and the crying, it's all worth it because they're snuggling and they're giggling and putting their finger under the running water saying, save some for the fish. And I got to really have moments, thanks to my beautiful family, of what it must be like.
Yeah.
So to all mothers, God bless you. I miss my mom. But no, long story short, we just decided it just wasn't for us.
Yeah. I think it's not for everybody. It's a huge decision. And I think a lot of people don't think it through before they take the plunge and then, oh my God, it's too late and now we've got this problem that we've got to sort out.
Yeah.
But then moving on, so you went and everything was going swimmingly, and then COVID hit.
COVID hit 2 weeks after we arrived in Hawaii as featured entertainers on a ship called the Pride of America. And after being on ships for so long, and we worked really hard to get to this position of being headliner, suddenly they said, okay, you're going to go home. A couple weeks, you'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all thought in COVID, only a couple of weeks and everything be back to normal.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't.
March 13th, we got flown home. We're going back. All right, you're coming back in June. Okay, maybe you're coming back in September. Okay, meanwhile, our mortgage.
Money coming in.
And as entertainers, both of us together, there's nothing coming in.
Yeah.
For 18 months.
And money going out all the time because you've got to live, you've got to spend, you've got to pay your mortgage and your levies and all that type of thing.
Well, we pulled out some equipment. We bought a camera and we started doing these concerts on YouTube.
Okay.
And we call our balcony the treehouse, and we call our apartment the treehouse. It's the overlooks the corner top of our building and overlooks the sea and over the intercoastal. It's like such a privileged view we have up there. It's like a perch. Birds literally fly by our window, and we said, let's call this the Treehouse Concert Series. We did 67 videos.
Oh, wow.
We taught ourselves to buy these lights at Lowe's at first. We didn't know how to do the lighting, and then we had friends. We're like, what do we do? Okay, put that light. It's going to be warmer. We did it outside. The first video ever was an acoustic song. My husband set up the sound system. It sounds beautiful. And we played on a sunny sunset afternoon. We played a song, and our neighbors came out on the balcony like they'd started doing in Italy once in a while.
Oh, yes.
And we thought, all right, let's do another one.
Yeah.
All right, 67.
Yeah.
We figured out that it was the way we could connect with everybody.
Yeah.
And we're getting texts and Facebook from people saying,
Yeah.
I'm in Australia, you guys. You sound like you
wow.
did on the ship 10 years ago. How are you? We started connecting with other people.
Oh, wow.
We started connecting with nurses.
Yeah.
Thank you. I come home from a 14-hour shift. I'm watching your show.
Oh, my
And we
goodness.
thought, okay, maybe
Yeah.
we're not reaching tens or hundreds of thousands, but if I'm reaching one or two people that are like us stuck at home and the music is helping them,
Yeah.
oh, this is cool.
That's lovely, yeah.
So we started, okay, let's take out a different outfit, different song, different lighting, started buying backgrounds. And again, the curiosity of trying to be really good at something and fun and learn from it. We learned how to do our own little Sonny and Cher televised studio
wow.
in my dining room. Like the way you learn shooting from far away.
Yeah.
We did it for our fans and friends and our family.
Yeah.
So we had the monthly Zoom or the weekly Zoom that everybody was doing during COVID, right? And then we would have 2 or 3 videos to shoot.
Oh, wow.
That was our job.
Yeah.
And then I had to get serious and
get some money in.
What do I do? And then my girlfriend, I have a wonderful friend in Central Florida who was doing great already in real estate, who said, you should get your license. I said, all right, Patty, get your license. You're going to be great at this. It's a people-oriented job. You're good at paperwork. You like it, because I do. Okay. Yeah. And I started taking the course online. I found it online. It was COVID yet, so I thought, better safe than sorry. And here's another curveball in life that comes up, right?
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of studying for my exam, talk about a curveball, and my brother passed away.
Oh, no. But I know when I went to write my license, I went to I didn't go to online school, I went in person because I didn't have the discipline to do the online, although I'm doing my brokers online now. But then you had to go and write the exam. I had to go to Florida Atlantic University and write, and it was the first time I was ever strip searched, which was the last thing I needed when I was going to write the exam. They strip searched me and sent me in, and off I went to do it. And it was hectic because my computer didn't work, but that's a whole other story. So when you did yours online, and then did you have to write online, or did you have to go to university to write?
It was still available online, but they had a camera on you. And you were not allowed to leave the site of the camera or you would fail and you'd have to take it again.
Yeah.
And you weren't allowed to take your hands off of the space here.
Yeah.
And they had a camera on you the entire time, which was terrifying. I thought, this is crazy. So I set myself up in my home and I took it that way. And it was very, very hard for me that time. One, because we were under the stress of COVID. We had no money coming in. And my brother passed away.
Yeah.
Right in the middle, I took a 10-day break while studying. And we had a COVID funeral. And I don't know if anyone out there has gone through this, but it was limited to family only and masks only. And it's so a lot of people couldn't come by. Yeah. It was very hard in our family. My brother had 3 kids that were all, I think they were 16, 20, and 21 at the time or something, just very young kids. and my sister-in-law, none of us could comfort them, as much as you can during COVID.
Yeah.
How do you, and then having to jump right back into studying gave me such a focus of, I have to do this because now I have to stay home and not go back to ships.
Yeah.
Because I just felt this thing of my family needs Jose and I to be down here in Florida, not traveling in case they need us. I don't know what they're going to need, but they might need us. Yeah. And my parents are gone, so these kids are going to need some family around them. And again, that decision you make, right? What are the priorities?
Yeah.
I have to stay home. I have to make money for me and my husband, and I have to be around for the family. There wasn't even a thought in my mind about everything else that followed after that.
Did they phone you eventually and say, come back? And you had to say, no, I'm not coming back on the ships.
Many times we got calls about, do you want to go back out here? No. Do you want to go back out here? I 28 years. 28 years is
already.
it's a life, and it was amazing. But I think you grow and you learn, and I can make that sandwich at 2 a.m. if I want to. And I have a beautiful home that I had renovated right in 2017. So when we were stuck at home like everybody else, we were actually stuck in the biggest home we knew in 28 years. We had been living in cabins.
Oh my gosh.
So imagine that. I'd been living in hotel rooms for 28 years, like people do when they travel and they do whatever they do like that. And suddenly we were stuck in our beautiful penthouse in the sky. We call it our tree house. And we would walk on the beach, and I'd run on the beach, and everything was, thank goodness, in a place that did not get cold as the year wore on. November, December, January. How lucky. So, home got very easy to stay in.
I know how difficult it was for me to build up my career as a realtor. And now you're building it up in COVID, which is lucky because everybody wanted to come to Florida.
Yes.
So that was a good start. And then how did you take over and how did you build your career from there? And the transition from being a singer to being a realtor, I mean, it's a big change.
Big change and huge similarities at the same time. The similarities include things like rehearse your whole life until you're able to get to the stage. Learn all your material before you get to a presentation. Present a show to people and be real as you communicate a song to them. Talk from your heart. And understand that people are about to make a life-altering decision. And you have to have the feelings as a human behind all the paperwork, because this is a huge thing for most people that are either buying or selling their home. If they're not doing it as an investment, I learned that right off the bat, and I learned how many people were coming for so many of those reasons during COVID. That shocked me into a lot of 9 to 5, 9 to 7. I went to the office probably Monday through Friday to learn this new language. So I already spoke this language. This was like a totally different language. I watched my uncle in New York City who had some properties when I was younger, and that inspired me. And he did buy land in Florida, and so I always kept that in the back of my brain. But this was a whole new world. So I thought sitting in the office was the best place to be, because our entire team is just nonstop talking about it. And I tried to be quiet because I'm a talkative soul. And I would just listen to what was going on in the phone conversations and threw myself into it. And did an open house. And I listened to the good advice that my broker gave me. And she is a very wise soul and a very kind soul, and can teach you in the way you need to learn it. Thank goodness. And I did. I listened to every single word. I was lucky to be coached the first year by a wonderful coach, and I think everybody can use that in life, no matter what you do. And I don't want to say it's luck, because I know I put a lot of hours in, but I did have an extensive group of contacts and friends that even traveling, a lot of my friends tell me I'm still one of the only ones that keeps in touch with them. Because when I left home, I was the one sending postcards and making phone calls, and I've done that for so many people that this was natural.
Yeah.
Hey, and now I'm in Florida as a realtor.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we skipped a beat. I haven't talked to many people in 10 years. I've talked to a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it just made it a little more fun, something new.
Yeah.
The hard part was transitioning in the eyes of people.
Yes. They still think of you as a singer, but you say, well, are you going to buy the house or aren't you, type of thing. And you were working as a singer and as a realtor at the same time.
At the same time. And I still am, and I still perform. And I'm so much better about feeling good about who I am in that and owning that. Because Gary Vee, who is a huge influencer on Instagram and all over the world, said, listen, we were wine sellers. Now he's a motivational speaker and coach and wants to own the Jets one day. He said, why not be all those things?
Yes, exactly. You can do everything.
And being the hashtag singing agent, I thought, okay, I'm going to own this. I don't know how I'm going to own it, but I'm going to own it. And I did have a friend not get mad at me, but say to me, why are you doing that? Why don't you just go back to singing?
People always say that to me. Why are you doing this? What are you doing? You must be crazy. Why don't you just... I said, well, why not?
Why not? And the challenge mentally for me is so fun. I'm an avid reader.
Yeah.
I have read so many books, really good books that were recommended to me by, successful people in different fields in my life.
Yeah.
And I read every word to kind of figure out what it is I'm in. I'm a salesperson. Okay, this is the language of what it is to be a salesperson, but guess what I learned?
Yeah.
Singing a song, I sold a song every time I opened my mouth.
Oh, yeah.
I did things that they name instinctively. That's the only thing I can kind of put together.
Yeah.
That everything I do like this that I think I'm presenting to you,
Yeah.
I just do innately.
Yeah.
I put a smile on my face. I dress for the job. I go to work and I know how I should be. I'm on there on time. I try to leave nothing to chance because then the other side has a stressless relationship with me. Whether that's my client or the audience. If my costume's tight, they don't have to know that.
Yeah.
They just want me to sing the song.
Yeah.
If a deal is about to fall through, they don't want to know that. They just want to move into the house.
Yeah.
Very similar things.
Yeah.
That is really the cool thing about it all for me.
Amazing. So, Patti, tell me, what was the thing that surprised you the most when you became a realtor? Suddenly you're a realtor.
I am a realtor. I am going to sell homes and I'm going to sign contracts and I'm going to give people keys and I'm going to have pictures taken. More than anything, I think hairstylists understand this. I've been a bartender. I've been through it there too. You are a therapist.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah.
I had no idea how emotional this life-altering experience can be for someone. And here you go. That's why I call it life-altering, because that's what it taught me. We are asking people to move their entire life from one space of the planet to another. It could be half a mile. It could be halfway around the world. It could be with kids. It could be after a death. It could be because of a birth about to be. You are stepping into somebody's life at such a critical moment.
Yeah.
And if you don't safeguard that and treat it as the precious moment it is for them, I think you're making a big mistake. And I treat every client like it's my first, like it's my last, like it's a member of my family, like it's the way I remember being treated.
Yeah.
You know, if you've ever bought a home, if you ever watched anybody move out of a home, people are crying.
Yeah.
It's
the most emotional and the most expensive thing you're going to do in your life is to sell one house and buy another.
And that too, for realtors that I see going through it day to day, that get used to the process. Yes, the process of it can be very methodical, and that's true. But the difference in the realtor you get is the care by which they walk you through each step. Now, if you're with an investor and an investor specialist, that's one thing, right? Great. You want a business head? I could put my business head on. And that's the things. They teach you about different personalities because everyone's got one and you have one. And so how are you going to adjust? And I thought it was all about me telling you all this great stuff. And I spent a lot of time listening.
Yeah, you do.
And hearing. And then, like everybody else who wants to be seen, seeing.
Yeah.
You know, that surprised me the most.
Yeah.
And what I see every time is like a fingerprint. It's absolutely different every single time.
Yes, it really is. It's so different because the people are different, the situations are different, the whole thing is completely different, and you think you've got it wrapped up, and then the next one comes and it's a completely different whole setup. It's incredible.
It's amazing. And the only thing the same is your process.
Yeah.
So I just try to make it as, I know everybody says personal.
Yeah.
But
and
human.
Seamless as possible. It's got to be seamless. It seems like it's really easy. Meanwhile, you're in the back working your little butt off, getting all the files ready and everything.
Sometimes I've made it look so simple that people thought it was until I showed them something that happened behind the scene and it shocked them.
Yeah.
And I think, I had to save the deal, but I'm not going to put it on them.
And this theatre is something that just happened. It was just went seamlessly. Meanwhile, the back of the line, just so much work went into it. I just got my commission check yesterday, and I mean, the amount of work that went. I've never worked so hard for such a amount of money in my whole life, but it was worth it because it all panned out in the end. Yeah.
My husband just said the same thing to me. I said, "What do you want to do this weekend?" He said, "You just worked so hard for that."
Yeah.
And I thought, he's right. And you have to celebrate the wins.
Yeah, you have to celebrate the
That's
wins.
the thing.
Yes, yeah.
Whether it be getting your nails done, going out with a friend, having dinner with your hubby, staying in and just reading a book and taking the day off. But I learned that too. Celebrate every single win.
Well, you've had a fantastic week this week. You've closed 3 closings in 1 week. I mean, at this time of year, with all the things going on, it must be an absolute world record.
I am thrilled. I worked with 3 separate, again, very different clients.
Yeah.
A woman who came from North Florida to be near her granddaughter and wanted to help care for the granddaughter. There's another baby on the way.
Okay.
And it really means a lot to her. And she has been such a special person to get to this place because she has a few physical attributes and an accident that she was in that left her not incapacitated, but in need of a lot of help. And I was very careful to make sure she was taken care of. And she bought the place sight unseen.
Oh my goodness.
She didn't walk into it.
She trusted you to do that for her.
Talk about responsibility. And I really worked hard at that. Bent over more than backwards. And I'm so thrilled she's in there. Yeah. And then the other closing is grandparents that are actually leaving their dream house to buy another dream house down in Florida because their grandkids are here now.
Okay.
And they've decided it's just too far. 7-hour drive is just too far.
Oh, no, that's too much.
They've had it. And those little kids actually came to look at all the houses with me.
Oh, wow.
And were my light monitors. And so to meet a family like that and then to know that I'm going to get invited to the barbecue that's going to celebrate that, unbelievable. Yeah. And then the last closing is 2 brothers, one who is disabled because of an injury at work, and his older brother bought him a place.
Oh, wow.
And he bought it with me from homes.com. He found me.
Oh, really?
He called me. I took him to see the place. It was my listing. That night we were under contract. Yeah. We had a lot of problems, you guys, with this, with paperwork and all kinds of behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. That I really worked hard to protect them from, and today I gave him the key.
Oh, wow. That's
and
amazing.
The brother said, I go, I get disability, my brother is helping me have a home. Yeah. Because I don't know where I was going to be. I couldn't afford to keep renting. Yeah. So again, every one of those stories are crazy. And the sale of that little place where the brothers moved in, I had that listing. It was a family from Montreal calls me and says, "We found you online because you speak Italian." Yeah. The grandmother calls me in her broken English, and I'm speaking half Italian, half English to her. Her husband had passed away. They had owned this place for 30 years, and they finally realized she can no longer come down. So again, giving the family the relief, and then working with the grandson to get the whole thing through. Oh, wow. She had such a hard time letting things go. At first she was going to send the truck, and it didn't matter how much it cost. She was going to send all the furniture.
back.
Slowly over time, she got used to the idea of letting. It's the emotional memory of what they bought and had for 30 years with the friends they made.
Yeah.
And then she finally was able to let it go. The grandkids and great-grandkids came and helped me clean it out.
Oh, wow.
And I found an antique dealer
Yeah.
that bought the stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
And here's another thing about like being a people person.
Yeah.
This antique dealer was a prospective buyer that chose not to make an offer on it, but I had remembered she was an antique dealer, and I called her agent and I said, do you mind if I call her directly and see if she wants to buy some of this stuff? She did.
Oh, wow.
So it's not a deal that got away. It actually helped my client make a little extra money and you know, get around the fact that we had to like get rid of all this stuff.
Wow.
It's so cool.
I must say, it's been so incredible, and our time is up. It's gone so quickly. I've so enjoyed the chat today, and I'm sure all the ladies watching are going to enjoy it as well. And ladies, just know, it doesn't matter where you start. It's where you decide you're going to go and where life takes you, just to take the opportunities and to get out there. So, Patti, a closing shot from you to the woman out there saying, oh, it's all very well for her. She's got the talent, she's got the brains and all that. She can do all this. What about me sitting at home? Well, girls, I want to tell you, you can get yourself out there. You've got to get yourself out there. Working with people is the way to be. People have energy. You drain that energy. You use that energy and you utilize it to make yourself better. And you in turn can make other people's lives better. So, Patti, a closing shot from you.
Infinity is this long, and we are just the dot in the middle. Seize the day that you can do something today. That dot is so short, and you are one of billions that never made it just to be on this planet. I hope you get whatever it is that you want and need. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.